What's that, Skip? Shauno's talking about Supercoach again. Let's go. G'day everybody, it's Shauno again, and I'm back with some more Supercoach content. Today we're going to be doing our round 6 trades and captains video, where I go through and I tell you who I'm going to be trading and who my captains are, but I also go through who are the best choices for the community to get the trade-ins and who are the best captain choices for you of the community out there. Now, before we go on, if you'd like to subscribe, please go ahead and do that now. We're heading up towards 500 subscribers. We're not far off, so if you do that, that would make me very, very happy. If you like the video, please like the video. And if you leave me a comment down below and let me know what your trades are and who your captains are going to be this week. All right, let's get on with it. This is a slight recap of how we did this week. We moved up, which was good, but not too much. So moved up 6 out of 500 places, heading in the right direction, but not very quickly. If you want to go more into how my team did, please check out my round review video, which I will leave a link for in the comments down below. All right, so let's get into it and let's start talking about who am I thinking about trading. Now, I'm still a little bit up in the air with my trades. If you would like to know a lot more thoroughly what I'm going to do, please join us for the live video on Thursday. But for the moment, this is what I am thinking about. So we've got Cooper Duff Tyler here, who only got the 14 last week. Now, he's gone up 30K. He did lose some money last week, but this week he's got a break even of 78, so he could lose more money. So I'm thinking that maybe it's a priority, even though he is playing and he is covering my ruck line, maybe to take him off. Now, I'm not too sure about this. Maybe we just keep him as cover, but even as cover, a 14 is probably not going to be in the best team. So sometimes maybe just getting the 99K player, like I'm thinking about here, getting the Kalani White and banking that cash as we have 0 cash in the bank. We'll take that cash. That way he doesn't lose any more, and if we do have an issue with the rucks, which seems to happen most weeks these days, we will count on our flex. Sorry, Duff Man, I love you, but yep, you have to go. So the next one is we have a few injury concerns. Now, I'm doing this video before the injury list comes out on Tuesday, but Dev Robertson is a confirmed ACL, so he will be out for the rest of the season. So if we trade him, now for me, there's only seems to be one forward rookie that I'm really looking at, which is Thomas Edwards. I don't expect him to score a lot, but he sounds like he has reasonable job security there at Essendon, especially after winning the last game, the first game they've won in quite some time. So you would think he holds his spot for at least a week or two. Essendon people seem to think he will. He's not going to be a big scorer. You don't really want to play him on the field. He's probably going to be a 50 or a 60 kind of guy. So if I bring him down, I can kind of get him off the field. This way, we can bring Philippou over here, who I also don't really depend on having on the field. So then we'll get Blamiers or a similar one here. Obviously, we should have some opportunities to do loophole maneuvers this week. We're hoping that Murdoch's going to be back. So that's 2 trades, and I've got 250K in the bank. Buderick is also injured. Now, we don't have a timeline on Buderick yet, and considering the Western Bulldogs came out and said English might actually play this week, I'm not fully confident on any timeline they may give us, but he's kind of made most of his money. He's got a break even of 47, so even if he got a 78, he'd only go up 13K when he came back. So I think it's time we can move him along. Now, the question is, do I want to use a boost? So if I do want to use a boost, I can do something which I think is probably a little bit risky, and I don't think I would recommend this to the community, but as you've seen, I'm quite well down in the ranking, and I've kind of shifted my focus to winning my leagues. And I'm actually doing very well in my league, even with my terrible ranking and terrible scores, where I've won every match. But this match I have in my league is up against a very good player, a good friend of mine who's been playing for quite some time in the my friends league, and so beating him is not going to be easy. So if I wanted to, I could go out with Buderick. It leaves me 572k and just get, if the man is back, Christian Petrarca. So let's complete this trade. Now, I like the way this looks. I do have some issues with this trade though, and anyone thinking about going early on him like I am, here is what you need to take into account. One, he's coming back from a hamstring injury. So, when they have those type of injuries, sometimes they redo them if they bring them back early. This is if he comes back at all this week. He might get another week's rest, which will make my decision a little bit earlier. I'll just do the 2 trades if he isn't coming back this week. But if he does come back this week, maybe I get him in before a lot of other people, and maybe he gets a decent score. The flip side is maybe he's on managed minutes. He's got a break even of 101. So there is no harm in waiting a week. If you wait a week, even if you got a 130, he's only going up, 15k. It's not the end of the world. If you're going to pay up 570, why wouldn't you pay up 580 or 585? The other thing is it uses all my money, and there are some cheaper options out there, which we'll go through for you guys in the community. Don't know if I'm tempted by the cheaper options. As far as I'm concerned, my forward line is pretty much locked, leaving me only 2 spots, the one which I just put Petrarca in and this one which is Marshall in. With the lack of money and the way my season is going, I don't think I'll be able to have the luxury of the trades or the money to upgrade people like Flanders. We're just going to have to live with him, at least till right near the end of the season. If we get to like the finals of the leagues, we've got trades, we've got money, then maybe we consider upgrading a Flanders. Or even if you go back to my back line, I'm thinking the same thing with Houston. So we'll get to him in a second. I know a lot of people are probably thinking about trading him out, and probably a lot of people are looking at Noah Anderson for both trading out and potentially trading in. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking of, crew. We will just show you again quickly. White, Edwards, Petrarca in, Duff, Tyler, Buderick, and Robertson out. Okay. So what does it predict for 2,295? And I tell you what, if we can get anywhere near that, I'd be a very happy boy. All right, now let's talk about what about you out there in the community? Who we got for you guys to trade in? Now, before we get to who you want to trade in, about the trade outs, if you've got Houston, I'd seriously think about giving him one more week. Yes, it's been a roller coaster ride, 50, 100, then he's got another 50. If you can afford to get him out, great, but I'd want you to have quite a lot of trades. Not like me, down to 27 or 28 trades after this week if I use the boost. I think he still has potential to score decent. His next quite a few games are on grounds that are going to suit him a little bit more, a little bit bigger grounds. And this game where they played Fremantle, even though I had someone pull me up and chat when I said this in my round rank video, the ball for the first half hardly went into the defensive 50 of Collingwood. Like Fremantle hardly ever got it in there. And in the whole game, I think Fremantle only kicked a couple of points. So one, he had almost no opportunity to get kick-ins because there was hardly any points. 2, he was right back there, on the goal line, and the ball hardly ever made it to the goal line for the first half at least. So he didn't have much opportunity. This might be telling me, I might be trying to sell it to myself, but at the moment I can't afford to get rid of him. So I'm going to keep him and give him another week or 2 and hope at least he doesn't bleed too much money and he can get me a half decent score. He does have a break even of 91. So on a reasonable day, he can get that break even. So I'm happy to hold him for 1 or 2 more. I think we've probably got bigger problems, even though I know we would like to rage trade him. The other one is Noah Anderson that we would love to rage trade, who has a massive break even of 166. A lot of people will be looking at him to get him in a couple of weeks' time if he continues up this form, as he'll be below 500k, but I don't know if you would even want him unless he can turn it around. So he's not doing too great at the moment, but he should be very cheap in a couple of weeks. So if you're looking at him, don't get him now. And I think if you've got him, you just have to hold and hope he turns it around. This is not the time to be trading primos out, or potential fake primos like Houston. As for anybody else, I think then you just need to really worry about your injuries. Keep an eye on the injury list, see how long Buderick is out. Deb Robertson is out for the season, so you're going to have to definitely get rid of him at some point. It's a shame because it looked like he was going to make us quite a bit more money, but at least he'd already made us like 120k, which is better than nothing. Better than nothing, I would say. So we'll probably set the team up a little bit different, but I won't go through too much with that with you guys. Let's get into seeing out there in the community, who have you got for your options for trading in? So if you need a rookie, if you don't have Milan Murdoch and he's named to play this week, he should be your number one go for. I've already got him in my team, but if you don't have him, you should go there. Now, if you didn't get Jacob Farrow last week, I think he should probably be your number 2. Even at 220k, he looks like he is a reasonable scorer, which you can have on field. He is going to make us a heap of cash. Even if he gets, they're predicting he gets a 65 and he'll go up 50k. So even if he gets 65s from now on, he'll still go up another 80k. Plus that Essendon game plan at the moment seems like it is suiting him. So I would think that he's still not out of reach at the 220 mark. Now, Flynn Perez, I think, is a decent option if he is named. I think his security in the team might be okay. If you go back and look at last week's, this is not this week, this is last week's injury list. It says for Hawthorn, it says Eamon and Mackenzie will need to prove their fitness on Thursday ahead of trip to the gather round. Flynn Perez and Jack Dalton came in for the pair. Well, they both came into the team, Eamon and Mackenzie, and Dalton went out, but Perez didn't. And if they've only got these other injuries, I don't see anybody else coming in for him. So he could definitely hold his position. And at 99k, I think he's a valid pick, and I'm definitely considering going there myself. I just have the Cooper Duff Tyler issue, which I need to decide what's a priority, not losing the money from the Cooper Duff Tyler or gaining the money from the Perez. So definitely one to look at, and if he holds his spot, which looks like to me he probably will, definitely one to look at. Again, -2 break even if he goes at 35s. Let's give him 50s. Let's just be very conservative and give him 50s. Say he gets 50s for the next 3 rounds. He will, can you guys see this? Just a little bit over. He will go up 80, 100k. If he gets 50s from now on, he'll go up 100k. So that's about the minimum you want to work out of a rookie. And if he can jag a 70 or an 80 in there, he'll go up significantly more. So here's one I'm not as keen on. Lachlan, I'm not too sure how to pronounce this last name. We'll say Gulbin. Hope that's correct. He's slightly higher priced, and I don't think he'll even hold his position this week. If he does, you could look at him, but Gold Coast have potentially Petrarca coming back, and they have Bailey Humphries come back, not Haley Bumphries. That doesn't make any sense. So Bailey Humphries coming back from a suspension. I assume if they're both good to go, they both walk straight into the team, which probably means Lachlan gets knocked out. Zane doesn't really look like he's going to get a game, and if he does, I think he's on shaky on shaky ground when it comes to holding his position. So I'd stay away from him if I was you guys. Thomas Edwards is the one that I'm looking at. Like we said, he's probably not going to be a big scorer, but it does look like he has reasonable job security there at Essendon. So I think at 119k, he is one that we could be looking at if you're looking for a downgrade. Liam Fawcett, probably not as interested as I am with Thomas Edwards. I have to admit that I don't know too much about him and what his job security is. If we've got any Richmond fans in there, maybe you could let us know in the comments what you think his job security is. Like Edwards, just scoring around the 50s, probably not great to have on your field, but if you need a downgrade to some bench cover, maybe it's the way to go. And the fact that he plays for Richmond, maybe his job security is okay. So Mitch Edwards, I wouldn't go there. So none of these other ones I would really be looking at. Some people might be talking about Wade Dirksen. Again, I don't think his job security is that great. I think when Dean comes back, and they've also got, who was the other one? So Carlton have Harry, Dean, and Weeders. Jacob Wiedering. Both of those guys, Wiedering will probably come back, and there's a good chance that he goes straight out. But also Harry Dean will be back, and I think both of those are ahead of him in the pecking order. So if you need a rookie, I think those are probably your guys. If Arthur Jones was named, I think he is also a sneaky pick with the mid-forward status for the Bulldogs. He played a couple of games, and then he got concussed with a 21 and an 82. So I think he could be a sneaky pick as well. He could be better than either of those other two guys, just with the scoring potential with the 82 in the system. This 21 will drop out of his system, and if he could get a couple of 60s, so let's say he went at 50, the same as the other two guys. We gave him 50 for the next few rounds, just like we did with Thomas Edwards, and we project he's going to make about 100k, 60, 70, 80, a bit under 100k, even if he only goes at 50s in the next 3 weeks. So that one could be a good one. I'm keeping my eye on to see if he is named. It's a hamstring, not a concussion. So with a hamstring, Bulldogs are a bit dodgy with their timelines. So we'll have to wait and see. If he doesn't come back this week, he could be one that we'll be looking at next week or the week after, which is good because we need to start banking some cash at this time of year for our upgrades. All right, let's say you don't want a rookie. You want a defender. You're ready to. You've got some money in the bank and you are ready to pay up. And we won't go by cash cows. We'll go by summary. So Luke Parker is absolutely killing it. Is the number one defender at the moment, which I think is taking quite a lot of us by surprise. Do I trust him? If he was to stay in that same role, I'd trust him. But we've seen what Clarko is like, and who knows what role he's going to be in next week. So if you want to get him as a bit of a pod, I understand. But just be aware that if he gets swapped out of that role, his scoring is going to drop significantly. Now, Jack Sinclair is coming down in value. He's got a break even of 157. So if you didn't have Sinclair and you're interested in him, maybe next week, not this week, and you could get him for around the 550 mark, 575 to 550 to 575 mark. Lockie Ash is also killing it. He's got a break even of 139, so maybe he's another one that we can wait on for a week or two and see if he drops a little bit if you're looking for that top-of-the-line primo. Now, here's the man that everybody's talking about, Archie Roberts. Now, Mr. Archie Roberts has had a bit of a blinder the last few weeks with started off the season with a 53, and then since then, he's gone 102, 100, 136, and 145. So I don't think he's going to score 145 every week, but he could be good for 100 if, again, he remains in that role and Essendon could keep playing that chip mark around the back line like they want to. And at 520, he's probably one of the cheaper options. He's a bit cheaper than those big boys like Sinclair or Ash. So if you need someone who's a little bit more affordable but can still get a decent score, he could be the one that you would want to go for. I think Dacos at 527 is still a valid pick. I've got him in my team. I'm hoping he's going to go a little bit better than this, but yep, I do hope that that's going to improve. And like we said last week, wet game wasn't in the defensive 50 a lot, so I think he could still be a very good pick. And Josh Worrell, yes, he had a bad game this week, and he's got a break even of 117. So if you wanted to wait and have a look at him, he's probably not going to go up or down very much. But at 512, I think he's a reasonable buy and someone who's been pretty dependable during the season so far with scores of 116, 123, 97, 120, and then the 168. So he's only really had the one bad game. And don't forget some of these bad scores from last week. The weather was terrible in Adelaide for gather round, and a lot of these matches were played in pouring, disgusting rain or on fields that weren't really suitable, for a lot of these guys, like smaller fields or, interesting dimensions. So just take that into mind. Some of the players that scored lower scores last week, it might not be too worrying. It might be, but it might not be. James Sicily, he's under 500 for a player who we know has done it before and averaging out 100, so it seems reasonable. Tom Stewart did Tom Stewart things after having a blinder and, killing it for the beginning of the season, came back with a 47. So I still at 520 if you were willing to go there. What's his break even now? 156. So you might get him for less than 500 if you're still interested in him in a week or two. And Sicily at 100, he's not going to go up or down very much either. So you can always afford to wait on these guys. Now, Nasai Malira, Nas, 108 break even. So he isn't going to go up a lot either. But this might be the cheapest that you're going to get him. With a 136, maybe he's coming into form. Not too sure whether he's playing St Kilda, so I'm not too sure if Windhager is doing any tagging these days. Last time we saw he was playing off the halfback. So I think, Windhager won't be tagging his own player. That would be silly. Playing Adelaide. So Adelaide, is it a decent matchup for him? Last year, scored 96, 98 in the last couple of years. So 96 against them last year. So maybe not the best matchup, but is going to be one of the premium defenders. So I can totally understand if you're going there. Another one of these ones if you're willing to pay up for him. Jordan Ridley, I'd kind of stay away from him, even though he is a proven performer from the past. I think it's a kind of a risky pick. Probably prefer if you pay up for the Roberts if you're going to do that. Lockie Whitfield still seems pretty affordable at 547. Has a break even of, let's see if the Supercoach is going to work. Sorry about that, crew. Supercoach is making a very annoying habit of dying in the middle of me making videos. But we're back, and I believe we just did Lockie Whitfield. So if we're looking down, the only other one I think, there's a couple that have relevance. Jordan Clark, I know, yes, he got another 100 this week. He's been a bit of a roller coaster ride for his owners, but with a break even of 157, we could pick him up for less than 500k. So not this week, but in the next couple of weeks, I think, I think he could be a valid option for people if you are willing to go there and ride the roller coaster. And Zorko's injured for a few weeks, but he also has a large break even. So when he comes back, he could be below 500k as well. So if you're like me and you're going to be strapped for a bit of cash come, the end of the season, some of these guys might have to be, I might want the Lucky Ashes or the Nasses of the world, but I might have to pick up the Zorkos and the Clarks of the world when they get below 500k. Anyway, I think that's enough for the midfielders. let's go. Sorry for the defenders. Let's go to the midfielders. We won't talk about Petrarca just yet. Isaac Heaney's probably missed the boat at 630k. I know we paid up for Bont and Gorn and those guys, but I think we can't be doing that anymore. You've locked your team in now. You've got the big dogs in your team, and now you should be looking for value and upgrading for, to try and fill your team up. And if you keep getting 600k players, you're not going to be able to do that. Maybe I should listen to my own advice when it comes to Petrarca and such. Bont, he will be coming down, you would think, depending on how much he gets. Probably, if you haven't got Bont already, maybe in a couple of weeks, you might get him around 650k if he doesn't just blow it up in the next few weeks. Forward. So Bailey Smith is doing very well. Again, very expensive. I don't think we can go there at this price, but if you had the money to spare, he's certainly going to be right up there as a top 8 midfielder at the end of the season. Max Holmes seemed to play a little bit more back this week, which certainly not a bad thing. So 138, very nice. He should be also one we should be looking at to get in our teams at some point over the season. Zach Butters, most of us have him at 630. I don't think I'd be buying into him if we didn't. Same with Nick Dacos. Got a break even at 133. He could come down a little bit this week. So if you haven't got him and you really want him, you can wait. Like I said, I don't think paying over 600k for a mid anymore is a good idea, unless maybe it's Bont. You're going to want Bont. So at some point, unless you want to take a very, very scary pod or anti-pod of not getting Bont, and I think at 650, you're probably not going to get him cheaper. All these other guys, there's a chance that you'll get them cheaper. Maybe not, but, you can hope that you can. LDU's gone up about 50k now. I don't know if I'd be buying into him, but he's done very well. For the owners who started him, he's very much repaid you. Zach Merritt keeps on doing Zach Merritt things. Again, I don't know if I'd be buying into him, but at 560 and 550, they're certainly more affordable than those big dogs at over 600k. Taranto, I still think that playing for Richmond hurts him too much. Jack Steele, 550, got 100 even in a loss. So, another one of those around 550. I really like Finn Callahan at 576. Got a break even of 84, so he'll probably go up this week. So if you're looking for probably a top 8 midfielder, he should definitely be in your calculations. Plus, he has a very good mid-season buy. Sarong had a rough game. I'm surprised it wasn't more in a wet, contested type of game. But with a break even of 143, you may get him around 500k. So if he goes around 100, he could be right around 520k in a few weeks. So that could be a bargain worth picking up if you're interested in that. Ed Richards got injured. We still haven't seen the timeline for that injury yet, so see how it goes. Lockie Neal went up a little bit of money, but it's still very cheap for Lockie Neal. I think at 530. He's only owned by 5.7% of teams. So a nice little pod there if you want to go on the cheaper side. Not too many other relevant ones here, I think. As for mid-only guys, we spoke about Noah Anderson. But don't think there'd be too many others that I would be looking at for this week for myself. Now, probably the one that... we'll talk about rucks. Again, we could be very frustrated if English comes back this week, but if you've held English, good on you. 1 or 2 weeks away, you keep on holding him now if you held him for the first week. Tristan Sherry will be back not this week, but the week after. These guys are doing, very big. You should, if you haven't got one of them and you wanted to get one of them, I think the Gorn or the Grundy look like they're going to be the two. But Jackson... Before Jackson owners start high-fiving themselves all because of Sean Darcy being injured, keep an eye out if Mason Cox comes into the team like he did in the preseason. And I believe Mason Cox looked and took more points away from Jackson than what Darcy was doing. So he seemed to play quite a bit more ruck in the preseason, Mason Cox. So keep an eye out on that, but I still think he's a good pick. And if he is rucking alone, he's a very good pick. If he would ruck alone, he'd be just probably as good as the two big boys. Potentially could score through the roof, but with a second ruck, it just holds down those really, really big, ceiling scores that we know he can do when he rucks solo. So I don't think I'd be looking at any other rucks at all. English is a 156, so if you wanted to pick up English in a couple of weeks' time, if he comes back you could get him around 500k, which could be a bit of a bargain. For those people that got Max Gornian like I did, they do clash with the buys though. So I've heard some people looking at Bailey Williams, not for this week, but potentially for next week. I'd be a little bit worried with this. He does not have a great record of scoring, and he was only up against Geelong, and we know Geelong don't really have rucks. So this 100, I think, is going to be a one-off, and then you're going to not expect him to get more than 70s or 80s for most of the time. And when he comes up against decent rucks, like this week when he's up against Jackson, assume that he's going to get absolutely crushed, just like he did last year. But he did look okay, so we'll keep an eye on him. There is nobody else I'd really be interested in the rucks. And now I think the line that most of us are probably interested in is the forwards, because we've got a lot of back rookies doing good stuff. We've got some midfield rookies doing good stuff, especially with the latest DPP changes, which came out this round. But a lot of us, we might have the Buderick injury. You got the Dev Robertson injury. Means you've got players like me. You don't really want to be fielding the Lombards or the Edwards or Marshall played a bit forward. Hopefully he goes back, but you don't want to be playing some of these forward guys on field. So maybe you're looking for a forward upgrade. Now, like we talked about Petrarca, who I am considering, but I do want to warn people about doing this. It is a risk. Don't look at his 150s and 170 scores and think he's going to do that straight away. And that's for several reasons. One is he's coming back from a hamstring injury. Maybe they ease him into it. Maybe they play him a little bit more forward. Maybe they give him reduced time on ground. Also, Matt Rowell wasn't in the team. When he was getting these really big scores, he was the number one contested beast bull when he was getting the 150 and the 170 and the 152. So now he's going to share that with Matt Rowell. So those contested possessions might be a little bit shared. Also, Bailey Humphries is coming back. He's probably going to play a little bit of midfield too. They kind of play the same position, midfield forward. When Rowell is in the team, they kind of play the same position. So he might not have that full-on high CBA role anymore. Now, he looked really good, and we hope he does, but he might not have it. So having a look at him for a week, probably not the worst thing in the world, and his break even, it's 100. So if he comes out and gets like 110 or 120, say he gets 120, he's only going to go up 10K. So it's not the end of the world if you see that he's got the role that you want. But if he comes out and gets a 80 or a 70 or something because he's on lower minutes and he's sharing the role with Rowell and Bailey Humphries, then he's going to come down in price even more, and he might not be. He's probably still going to be one that we want in our forward line, but he might not be that massive scorer that we had at the beginning of the season. So bit of a risk. I'd highly advise other people and myself to not do it this week, but I still might go and break my own rule anyway. Zach Bailey, Sheezer, we should all have him. Aaron Cadman, I don't think I'd be going there after one game. Zach Bailey is really performing well. He's one that I was looking at a couple of weeks ago when he was 470, and I kind of wish that I'd got him instead of Brian Myers, who I got instead. And he's doing very well. I think he's still kind of cheap at 510. And I think if you wanted to go there, great mid-season buy. Definitely someone to look at. We spoke about Bailey Williams. I think that's very risky. Josh Tracy, this is what key forwards do. He's been absolutely killing it. And then, a wet, rainy game, and he gets a 66. Now, let's actually have a little bit of a chat about, just in general, not so much about forwards. We've been saying, these new rules suit open, clean players, running players. Don't forget, our game is played in winter. So the Bulls like Rao or, people play the midfield and can go and get the ball. They do well, or they do better in those rainy, slippery, nasty, high contested, possession games. And so maybe as the season goes on, those players are going to come more relevant, and our freaking out about the new rules, like we did with the Rucks, might be less relevant. Side Pickett at 539K, I think it's still reasonable. He's gone up a little bit. I picked him up last week. Not such a great game about Essendon, but I still think he is very much in the line to be a top 6 forward. So if you want to get him at that price, I totally understand. Now, I think a lot of people might be looking at some of the cheaper options, and Justin McInerney is definitely one of those at 478, playing midfield without Goulden in the Sydney side and doing very well. So I think he is a good option, and he has a very nice buy for the mid-season. So break even of 83, so he's not going to get away from you, but 140, 90, 77, 105, 97. So he looks like about a 90 to a 105 type of guy. Tuke Miller is one that I'm definitely looking about, but not this week. His break-even's 161. We could see this guy as low as 500K in 2 weeks' time. So if he comes out, gets 100 for the next couple of weeks, he'll be below 500K. Again, like to see how that works with Petrarca and Bailey Humphries in the team. Shea Bolton, this is why we didn't go Shea Bolton, because every once in a while he's going to drop a stinker. Yes, he had that nice really run of good scores, but I'd still be avoiding Shea Bolton. Now, here's one that a lot of people will be looking at, Josh Rochelle, and there's 2 guys that if you want to get him, get them this week. So if you want Rochelle, get him this week. He's got a break even of 49. He's at 450K. Is he going to score 127 every week? No, it's probably going to be his highest score of the year. He did kick 4 goals and looks really good. So if you want to go there, I totally understand it. But yeah, just don't expect more around a 90 to a 105, which is perfectly fine for a forward and could easily be close to a top, in the top 10 forwards, you would think, pretty easily. Now, Tim Kelly, I'm still not a big fan of this pick. Yes, he's getting more midfield time. The Dev Robertson injury probably helps him, probably keeps him in the midfield more, even when Elliot Yeo comes back. So maybe it's okay, but in the games where the Eagles get flogged, none of the Eagles get decent scores. So this could easily be a 60 or a 70 at some point. So I just don't trust the reliability in him. Connor McDonald, here's the other one that I think if you want him this week, by the way, Tim Kelly has got an 88 break even, so he's not going to get away from you. So you can always wait another week and look at him if you want. Even if he gets 100, he's only going up 10K or so. Connor McDonald, though, has a break even of 55. So here's the other one. If you want Connor McDonald, this is the week to get on him with a 94, a 103, a 76, a 112, and a 94. So again, he's sitting right around the 95 average, which is fine for a forward. So I think if you wanted to go there, you're looking on the cheaper side, which is probably what I should be doing, is looking at a Rochelle or a Connor McDonald. But I just can't bring myself to go cheap, even though it's what we should do. So yeah, there are a couple of cheap options. I think they're very viable this week as uh, replacements for McDonald or Dev Robertson. Sorry, Buderick or Dev Robertson. Then if we go down, not too much of interest. Jason Horn-Francis, I think we can get him cheaper. He's a 112. He hasn't had a awesome season so far. 48, 147, 75, 85, 88. So he's only cracked 100 once. He did crack it big time, but he's only cracked it once. So again, he's not going to get away from you. I think it's fair to hold and wait and see if he recaptures some of that form that we know he can have. Sam Flanders is not exactly paying off like we thought, but again, he averaging at 88.6, little bit below with what we like. If he could pick up that average by about 5 points, he'd probably be in that top 12 to 15 forwards, which would be fine. Murphy Reed, I think if you got him cheap, that's fine. I don't think I'd be going there now, especially with the chance of Hayden Young coming back anytime and stealing some of his CBAs. Graham Myers, who I got in a couple of weeks ago, it's been quite disappointing for me. He's got a couple of 70s. The ground and the weather really didn't suit him last week, so hoping that's just a little bit of slump in form and put that down to ground and conditions, and he'll be back at 480. I think he is reasonably priced, but you might get him as low as 450, which, considering I paid about 505, I think, for him, could be a real bargain in a week or two's time. So if he's someone who's interesting you, I would wait a week or two, and then maybe you're going to get him at 450. This is the other thing that scares me about me buying Petrarca. Every time I buy a player at peak price, they drop. So I don't think I'd be considering any of these other guys. These key forwards have shown, like the Thrill Thorpe and Sam Darcy, that they can have big games, but they can also drop low games too. Like we talked about, the conditions, if it's a really rainy, nasty day, hard to mark the ball, hard to kick goals, they're probably not going to be the best. So I think that is it for the potential trade-ins. I hope that helped you, crew. Don't forget to leave me in the comments who you're thinking about trading in. And if I've missed anybody, let me know. And don't forget, we'll go through more on the old live video on Thursday, where I'll let you know exactly who I'm thinking. I'll make sure we go through all the injury lists and that'll give us a better idea of who we really want to get in this week. Now, for captains and vice captains this week, I think there are some pretty good options. I think on Thursday night we have Nick Dacos versus Carlton. Has gone 127 and 94 against them last year, and went 150 against them in the 2024. Is he completely over that injury? Maybe. Like we said, the game wasn't the best game last week for the Nick Dacos of the world, but I think he'll still be fine, and I think he's worth a sneaky pick. No one from Carlton, I would say, is irrelevant. Geelong and Western Bulldogs, Bailey Smith, Holmes, or Bontempelli are probably all decent vice captain choices. It could be a tough game, but I still think I could depend on any of those guys to get you a decent score and be a decent vice captain option. Especially, I think Holmes or Bailey Smith would be pretty sneaky picks, I think, for being a decent score. Then you've got Sydney versus GWS. If you've got a Grundy, I think that could be a very good vice captain. I believe he's up against Madden. I think that's correct. And that could be a very big score. So definitely one to be thinking about. I think if it was me, I'd be very seriously considering going there. Gold Coast versus Essendon. I don't think I'd be picking any Gold Coast versus Essendon players. Hawks and Port Adelaide. Again, maybe you could try the vice captain on Butters. I don't think I'd be putting the captain on him. Could be a tough game against Hawthorn. He might get some attention, and he might even be suspended. So we might not have that option depending on what happens at the tribunal. So then Gawn, I think, is we got Adelaide and St Kilda. A sneaky captain pick for Nas, maybe, but Adelaide usually a tough opponent, so maybe not. Maybe he cops a bit of attention from Adelaide, so I don't think I would go Nas, but he would be a sneaky option if you wanted to. Here is a very good option of Sheasel versus Richmond. I think he is a very good pick as either a vice captain or a captain. He has gone 185 and 77 last year and 105 last year. So I think he got like 50 possessions or something against them last year. Something crazy like that. So definitely maybe you're vice captaining somebody else like Bont, like I am, into a Sheasel. Myself, I'll be going into Gawn for the next match. They play Brisbane. Brisbane's rucks. They've got Draper and Fort these days. So I still think Gawn should dominate both of those guys. And in the tougher matchup, maybe he doesn't score as much, a huge score, but I think he's still very valid as an option for a captain or a vice captain, being the fact he plays on Sunday. Vice captain is kind of out. So if I got a bit chicken with Gawn, I might have go to Sheasel. But for me, since I'm paying 700k for each of those guys, I feel like I almost have to do it. And then West Coast versus Fremantle. If Jackson is a solo ruck, he is almost my number one pick almost. I mean, he is going to be up against Bailey Williams. Now, Bailey Williams made a reasonable showing of himself last week, but he still doesn't compete against the big boys very well. Don't forget, last week he was playing Geelong, who really don't have a decent ruck. So up against Jackson should destroy him, but I would only pick it if Mason Cox was not named. If Mason Cox is named, I'd probably be more confident going a Sheasel or somebody else. So I hope that helps you out in the way of captains and vice captains. Again, we shall talk about it a lot more in the live video, which we'll be doing on Thursday. Don't forget, if you would like me to put your team up on the screen and have a chat about it on Thursday, head over to my Discord. I'll leave a comment down below, and there's a channel there that says place your team here. Pop your team in there and we will go through it on Thursday. So once again, thank you everybody for watching. You guys have been amazing. Time to subscribe is now. Come on guys, get me up to 500 subscribers. That would be absolutely awesome if you could do that for me. If you like the video, please like the video. Leave me a comment down below telling me who your trade-ins are and trade-outs and who your captain and vice captain choices are. That would be awesome, and I always get back to everybody that comments. All right, crew, thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you all again very soon. Take it away, Skip.